Welcome back to the Sports Pen on ESPN UP. Tanner Hoops with you. We're joined by one of the newest up-and-comers in UFC. That's Cody Stamann, Sparta, Michigan native. Cody, thanks so much for being on the show, man. Help my listeners get to know a little more about you because you're somebody who's on the rise this year, and if they haven't heard of you now, they're going to be hearing a lot more about you in the next few months.
Well, I would tell people the best way to kind of get to know me better would be through social media. You can follow me at Cody Stamann, last name Stamann, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I post a lot daily, so you get to know a little bit more about my training, a little bit more about who I am outside of the cage too. And obviously, the more you can relate to somebody, the funner it is to watch them fight.
Well, Cody, you got off to a fantastic start record-wise, and you come in ranked 11th at the Bantam level in the UFC rankings as of December 12th of last year. Tell me about your career early on, how things have been going for you inside the ring.
It has gone well. I mean, obviously inside the cage, anything can happen. There's a million ways to lose in MMA. It's a little bit different than boxing in that way. Guys in MMA don't necessarily have squeaky clean, perfect records, especially guys at the top. There's too many ways to lose, but I've been pretty fortunate to come out on top in almost all my fights. Relatively injury-free, obviously not completely injury-free, but the guys I fought always look a lot worse than me.
Well, early on, you were getting some pretty big names in your fights. I mean, how did a lot of those come about? Were they something where they reached out to you, just kind of came your way, or did you have to reach out to schedule a few of those?
So, in MMA, a lot of the guys you're going to fight can be kind of the noise that you make leading up to the fight. So for me, getting those big fights early in my UFC and in my MMA career, it was me just kind of coming out and challenging guys that maybe had a little bit more credibility, a little bit more clout, a little more experience than I did. I was just confident in my abilities and my hard work, and I went after those guys, and that's kind of how I've risen as fast as I have.
Cody, tell me about Michigan Top Team and what they've done to prepare you and build you into the fighter you are.
So Michigan Top Team is a gym that I started with two other guys. Our whole goal was just to have a good place in Michigan for guys to train and get better. Most guys usually jump ship, they end up in California, Vegas, Florida. They end up in the big MMA hubs. But a lot of us really like Michigan. We care about Michigan, and we wanted to build something here. And so we did that. Michigan Top Team's been that gym. We've been able to, put a lot of guys in the UFC, have guys be at the highest level, and, I'm one of those guys.
Talking with Cody Stamann, an up-and-comer in UFC, currently ranked 11th at the bantamweight division. Cody, how about your background? You wrestled at the Division II level at Grand Valley State. Tell me how that all developed you into the fighter you are today.
So I think, wrestling for me, it's the best base for MMA. Wrestling has been, I think the foundation of my fighting career, but also, my boxing experience coming into MMA, put me ahead of a lot of other guys. Having both stand-up and wrestling experience before I started, actually training MMA, I was leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else, and that kind of gave me a platform that I needed to go higher than they did.
What led you to want to become a fighter? Was it something that you always knew you wanted to pursue?
No, I actually had no intentions of being a fighter. I grew up, I was an athlete. I played a lot of different sports. I really liked to compete. After school, throughout college, and, right out of high school, I started training MMA, and I really, really enjoyed it. I love the sport. It was a lot of fun. And then, during that time, the sport kind of started to grow, exponentially. It started to become like a mainstay, and guys started to make, a decent living as fighters. So when I graduated from school, I kind of had a choice. I could, take over the family business or, try my hand at MMA. And I told myself, I would try it for a couple of years, and if it didn't work out, no sweat. The problem was, once you start this lifestyle of being an athlete, it's really hard to live any other way. And so, after I competed a couple of years, I'd done okay. I still wasn't in the UFC. I wasn't, an elite level athlete yet. But I had way too much invested to just quit. And so, I kind of saw it through, and, it's kind of paid off. I'm one of the best in the world now.
Tell me about your fighting style. I see, looking at your bio, you've got a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yep.
So, to compete at the highest level, you kind of have to have a really well-rounded game. You need to be good everywhere. Because there's so many guys that compete in the sport now, and everyone's, getting more developed in every aspect of martial arts. So, from my feet all the way to my back, I believe, I have the skills that it takes to win a fight. Not just being able to, stand up with a guy, kick and punch, and, knock him out, but, I can take people down, I can defend takedowns, I can beat guys up on the ground. I can fight everywhere, and that's really where the next level of MMA is at. You need to be able to compete both on your feet and on the ground. You have to be well-rounded.
Has there been any point in your career that stood out to you, something that's been special that you can look back on and helps keep you going?
Yeah, there's been a few fights I felt like were like turning points in my career. One in particular was a fight, when I was really young. I think I was 4-0. I fought a guy that, that really, I don't think anyone around me thought I was going to beat. And kind of had a little doubt in my own mind, just because everyone that was close to me was kind of, didn't want me to take this fight. They were worried that, this would be the guy that would beat me, and it, taking a loss young in my career would really mess me up. But, I kind of rolled the dice, so to speak, and went after this guy, in hindsight, maybe before I should have. And I went out and knocked him out, and that was something that had never been done. He beat everyone. He was undefeated in his career, and I went out and knocked him out, and I did it pretty decisively. I beat him up the whole fight, and then that's kind of the point where I realized, like, hey, I could really do something here. I can compete with anybody in the sport. If I just get my mind right and prepare the way I'm supposed to, I'm not sure that there's a whole lot of people out there that can beat me.
Cody, last thing before I let you go, what do you want your fans to know most about you?
I guess that I'm just a blue collar small town kid, from Sparta, Michigan. I like to hunt and fish. I like to do all the Michigan stuff, but eventually everyone's going to know who I am, and it's going to be because I'm going to be a world champion in MMA.
Cody, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for being on here. Looking forward to following your career. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you. Appreciate it.